Hello everyone, this is Kathy the Vegan Prepper. Thank you so much for joining me today for what is essentially a free little online herbalism class. Today we're going to be making a Moringa Switchel. There's going to be a lot of good information here, so you might want to take some notes. And yeah, I can't wait to show you how easy it is to make this. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Well, after the intro. I made a little intro, so we're gonna do it right after the intro. Okay, first of all, let's go ahead and discuss the menstruums and why herbalists use different things to create their extracts. So the menstruum is the liquid part of the extract. So technically speaking, when you make even a cup of tea, you're using water as your menstruum to extract medicinal properties out of plants, and that gives you your tea. Sometimes there's a stronger extract is required with water, and so then that's when you use something called a decoction, where it's not just infusing in hot water, you're actually simmering and boiling for a while to extract extra plant properties out of extra hard plant parts like barks and roots and even dried berries. Also, there are vinegars used to extract plant properties. Vinegar is excellent at extracting alkaloids and certain things in the plants like minerals and vitamins and things like that. So vinegar is a great one for that. And then also you have alcohol. And a lot of herbalists will buy organic pure grain alcohol, which they then mix themselves with distilled water in order to create truly really well done and well put together tinctures. But for now, I'm just purchasing rum. It's a very inexpensive alcohol, and I like this one because many herbs are very well extracted with a ratio of about 50% alcohol to 50% water. And spiced rum is already about 46% alcohol, 54% water. So that ratio is also why many herbalists use just vodka, because it's already a 50-50 split. But from what I have seen in my own local stores and what is accessible to me, vodka is easily 3 to 4 times the price of that particular spiced rum. So I go ahead and buy the spiced rum, and that little difference is, it doesn't seem to have made a difference. All of my tinctures still seem to work really well. So those are the different kinds of menstruums. So today actually we're going to be focusing mainly on the apple cider vinegar, not only because it has its own host of amazing health properties, but because again, it's so good at extracting in particular those alkaloids and those minerals and those vitamins. And I'm going to be making a moringa preparation. And the main reason I'm wanting to work with moringa is because I'm wanting to create some sort of shelf-stable vitamin kind of supplement that could be suitable for some long-term storage. And so also, I'm turning it into a switchel, which is a water and vinegar preparation that is traditionally sweetened with molasses. And so I've chosen molasses because molasses itself is extremely rich in minerals. And another wonderful thing about both apple cider vinegar and molasses is that each one of these is considered to have an indefinite shelf life. So any preparation, hopefully, made with these two things would also have an indefinite shelf life. At least that's what we're hoping for. So anyway, I will show you briefly though, because I want to take some video of the labels of 2 different kinds of molasses so that you can make sure that you're getting the most nutritionally rich molasses possible. So these are the two brands of molasses that I have in my house. I did not realize that there was a big difference between the two kinds of molasses at first, but there really is. Both of them just say simply unsulfured molasses. Obviously, the Wholesome brand is organic as well, but the Grandma's is at least non-GMO. But let's go ahead and take a look at the labels so that we can see all of the nutritional information. So first difference really I want to point out is that on the Grandma's label, the ingredient is molasses. But on the Wholesome label, the ingredients say organic black strap molasses. And I have since learned that that's what you're looking for, because the difference is quite profound actually in the nutritional information. So you'll see over here, calcium 2%, iron 2%, magnesium 2%, in a serving size of 1 tablespoon. But over here, in the Wholesome brand, you see serving size 1 tablespoon. You come down and you'll see right here, calcium 10%, iron 20%, potassium 8%, even B6 8%, 10% magnesium, even a tiny bit of zinc. So there's a huge difference in the nutritional content of these two items. And so make absolutely sure when you're getting your molasses, especially if you're getting it because you want it to have all these amazing things in it, that you're getting one that has blackstrap molasses. All right, and so now let's get into the actual making of the preparation. This book is the book I use for a huge amount of my references as far as actual medicinal herbal preparation making. So I highly, highly recommend this book. I will link down below. I'm gonna actually link to his actual site instead of just like an Amazon link, because he also has a lot of really great other stuff and seeds on his website. And so I would encourage you to support, like, I don't know, just in general, if we can support people on their own website, they get more of the money, and this is such an excellent resource. And if you get it direct from him, it might come signed. I still wish you would adopt me. Rachel, are you watching? Can you adopt me? Can you take me to Oregon with you, please? Okay, that's it. So for the actual preparation, we're going to be using moringa from my yard. So my gorgeous trees outside, this is actually, majority of this is what I had left over from my 2020 harvest. And then there's a small amount that I have from when we just trimmed our trees a couple of weeks ago, and I pulled all the leaves off that were still on the tree to dry and save. So this is also, it's not just about creating kind of a multivitamin thing, although that is the main goal. It's also about trying to make sure that any of the plant matter that I have retains its usefulness for as long as possible. So when we're looking at something that's been harvested last year, I start thinking about turning that into tinctures and stuff before it loses its efficacy or starts losing its color or its scent or whatever. So moringa is just a fabulous thing, and I have more coming for sure. And so I'm just going to turn the rest of this into an herbal preparation. And so for an herbal aceta, or acetum, which is the technical term for a vinegar extract, plural form is aceta. But for an herbal acetum, which is an extract of vinegar, Richo says that for a typical dry herb acetum, you use a 1:7 ratio, which is 1 part herb by weight to 7 parts apple cider vinegar by volume. So let's go ahead and get this weighed and figure this out. Okay, so we've got 55 grams of moringa here, and I'm going to go ahead and start kind of squashing that up while I talk a little bit about the ratio. So for a 1:7, that would need to be 385 grams or 385 milliliters of the apple cider vinegar. And so to make it a little easier on me, I'm actually going to round that up to 400 milliliters because, I don't know, I can. I can change it as long as I feel like as long as it's written down so that I can do it the same every time. So I have here 400 milliliters of apple cider vinegar, and you see it's actually very important that you take the volume measurement from the side and not from looking above. So even though I'm rounding, I want to be exact in the rounding. And so this is exactly 400 milliliters. And so to that, I'm going to go ahead and add 200 milliliters of molasses. So we're going to do the 200 mils of molasses. So this is as a sweetener, but also as its own content of vitamins and minerals. So I'm going to do this essentially as the same process as an oxymel. So let me see. Yeah, I am right at 600. Woo! Which is an oxymel is an apple cider vinegar and honey preparation, which is obviously not strictly vegan. So this is a great, completely, even strictly vegan herbal preparation, because we have seen, you know, in other videos, I don't really have an issue with honey and beeswax, and I've actually talked at length about that before. So if you want to see me talk about that, you can go to some other videos. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and get the vinegar and the molasses mixed up before I add the herbs. Otherwise, it'll be kind of a disaster mess. Okay, so I've gotten the molasses and the vinegar mixed, and I actually took a little taste of a little drop, and it's delicious already just by itself. So we're going to go ahead and add the moringa. Now, ideally, I would have a funnel, but unfortunately, I did not grab one before I started filming. So we're just kind of going to do it like this. So ideally, with a nice canning funnel, you just dump it all in there. Just squish it a little more. We're going to have to do some adding and then some mixing and get it down in there. And adding and mixing. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of do a little bit of that now. Sort of start pushing the herb down into the menstruum. And see, it's just an extremely, like, just such an easy process. I'm going to go ahead and do more. And now, actually, I will go ahead and just dump the rest of this in. As always, I have mentioned many times in my dehydrating videos, step number 1 is clean the area where you're going to work, so that when you have spills, you can just scoop it right up and put it in and not have to worry about it. So I'll go ahead and get this all mixed in, and I'll come back and show you guys exactly what that looks like. All right, it's all mixed and ready to go. All right, so let me talk to you briefly about the kind of lid that you will use while you are waiting for your preparation to steep or macerate. So I'm going to be leaving mine for 6 weeks. And so since today is the April full moon or new moon, I'm going to be leaving it until the May full moon, and that will be a full 6 weeks. And I will decant it and begin using this at that time. But because this is a preparation that actually has vinegar, so this is an aceta, I guess, or an acetum, but technically I guess it's more of a switchel because of the molasses. But because it is still largely vinegar, it's one of the very rare instances where I will recommend plastic lids. So one of the main things too is as you're leaving something to steep or macerate, you should be coming over to shake it every now and then to make absolutely sure that it's nice and mixed and all of the plant matter in there has the most opportunity to come in contact with that menstruum so that the most possible constituents and properties that you want extracted will be extracted during that time. So some people recommend shaking every day. I sort of do it like every couple days or whatever, like kind of whenever I remember. I go over to my my little tincture shelf in my kitchen area and I just shake them all. But you have to have a lid that isn't going to leak everywhere. So typically these are blamed for leaking, but if you screw them down tight enough, it's not going to leak. But the reason you don't want to use a metal lid is because the vinegar is so acidic, it reacts very badly with the metal lid. It'll rust it through, it'll ruin this lid. It will ruin the ring even if it comes in contact with it. It can rust completely to the jar and become virtually impossible to get off, which I have experienced before because I used to try to do this the way some people recommend, which is by putting a piece of parchment in between the metal lid and the jar. But like I said, one of the things you're supposed to be doing is shaking this thing. So in order to create a watertight or, you know, a liquid tight seal, I guess, with the parchment paper, because it's going to be folded and stuff underneath, you have to screw it down so tight that typically it sort of ends up kind of tearing the paper. And so then the vinegar still gets out and it still comes in contact with the metal, and it's just a mess. So I have very passionately and thoroughly switched to plastic when it comes to the vinegar preparations, and those are the reasons why. So I just thought I would share that with you. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to enjoying this in about 6 weeks when it's finished. The initial taste was already pretty good, so we're going to see what the moringa does to it. I bet it's going to give it a little bit of a green taste. But one of the other things I would like to say is I bet you nettles would be an excellent thing to use in this in place of moringa. If you don't have access to moringa, choose any kind of a really nutritive, rich green herb that you can get your hands on, whether that is nettles, dandelion leaves, alfalfa leaves, or whatever it is that you would like to try to do this with. I bet you it'll be amazing, and you'll still end up with a ridiculously nutrient-rich, beautiful thing to add to your diet to just get more vitamins and minerals into you in hopefully a very pleasant way. So hopefully that was helpful to you at all. And if you have any questions or comments, please let me know down below in the comments. And yeah, like and subscribe. Let me know too if you'd like to see a lot more content like this. I want to make a lot more content like this. This is the kind of stuff I'm really passionate about sharing. And so yeah, as always, I hope the rest of your day is good and your life stays wonderful. Thank you so much for watching. Talk to you later. Bye.